Sewing tissue holders. The set I'm using a design from is this set here. You can see there are 5 different tissue holders, and we will be sewing this one today. Your requirements for the tissue holder is a zip, 20 centimeters, 8 inches, or 11 inches, 25 centimeters is better. Your minimum size is the 8-inch zip. Something to help you turn out the corners. Tape. You'll need thin batting, lining fabric, and your main fabric. You can use the same fabric for your lining as your main. You'll need the colors and obviously your various scissors. In preparation, you will cut out of the main fabric 2 pieces 3 inches by 7 inches, and same size out of your lining fabric 2 pieces 3 inches by 7 inches, and the batting, it's a very thin batting, again 3 inches by 7 inches. You will also cut 4.5 inches by 7 inches, 1 piece out of your main fabric, 1 piece out of your lining fabric, and 1 piece out of your very thin batting. In these designs I've used a color which I've named Fabric Match. You will need to match this thread to your fabric. In this case I'm going to use this red, and the tissue holder I'm sewing today only has 2 other colors, and those colors are these 2 that I'm going to use here. Obviously these colors you will change out as would work better on your fabric choices. Okay, and you will hoop 2 layers of medium weight tearaway stabilizer or 1 layer of heavyweight tearaway stabilizer. I'm going to move now. So I've hooped up my 2 layers of medium weight stabilizer, put the hoop on the machine, and I'm going to use my Fabric Match thread first up. First line of stitching here is your outline and your placement lines for the various items you're going to be placing. When it is finished stitching this first color, snip loose the thread. No, wait. You will take your zip and you will place it between the center 2 lines. You will see there is an unstitched area here. The unstitched area indicates the area that has the zipper pull to it. You will place your zipper across between those lines, across the stabilizer, between the 2 lines, and you will tape it in place. You need to be very careful to ensure that the zipper pull and the little metal piece on the other side are well out of the stitching line. Also, with your zip, you need to choose a zip that has the fine plastic teeth. You cannot use a zip with metal teeth or the chunky plastic teeth. We'll now stitch the second colour, which will stitch the zip down in place. When the first side is stitched, move across and you stitch the second side down. Now take your first piece of your 3 by 7 inch top fabric, you place it face down across the zipper, lining up with the stitching with the line, the placement line of the stitches there. You can tape it in place, a little bit of tape. We'll stitch the next colour. I prefer, when stitching something like this, to turn off any automatic thread cutting on the machine, as that sometimes leaves loose threads at the bottom, which may catch in your zip later on. Now that the first colour has stitched, remove your tape and turn the fabric back. And turn the fabric back. Finger press this line. Return. And you take one of your 3 by 7 inch pieces of batting and you place this in underneath the fabric, up against the stitching line, so. And you can either tape or pin this in place. If you are going to pin it, you need to ensure that your pins are well out of the way of the stitching lines. You take your second piece of outer fabric and you lay this piece again up against the stitching line on this side towards the machine's main body, and then you a little bit of tape to tape it down. And you stitch the next colour. Again, all of this stitching is being done with the colour match thread. Same process as before. You trim the thread. Take piece of tape off. Turn the fabric back. Gently finger press. Place the batting in. And tape it down. Okay. The next step is one of our colour threads. In this case, I will be using the darker thread. For the decorative stitching on either side of the zip. So that colour is now finished. I now go to the second colour in my decorative stitching. This will be used for the word tissues. Thread it up. Some of the other designs in this set have decorative stitching and more colours used. So you would stitch all the colour stops, and only when you go back to colour match would you continue with the placing fabric. In this particular design, that is the last of the decorative stitching. Okay, now that the decorative stitching is finished, we will be going back to the fabric match thread, which in our case is the red thread. Okay. We're now going to be placing the lining to the top of the tissue holder. And the first piece of lining we're going to be placing is the lining that covers this side, the side towards the machine. So you you'll take out your hoop, you'll turn it over. So your lining is going to be covering this side, and that would be your stitching line. You'll take your lining, you'll place it, so it's to cover this side. So you'll place it over here, covering the decorative stitching, like so. And tape it in place. The machine back in, the hoop back in the machine, and stitch the next colour. You see the stitching line is right on the edge of the fold. Trim the thread, take the hoop out again because we are now going to place the lining for this side. Turn it over, remove the tape, turn it back, tape it down. You will take your second piece of 3 by 7 inch lining and place it on the other side, covering the decorative stitching again, like so. And again, tape it in place. back in the machine. And stitch the next thread colour. Take this out of you'll trim your thread and take your hoop out the machine again. And turn back the second piece of fabric. Take it down. At this point, we will be placing turn your hoop back to the front and place on here, face down, right side down, centered over the zipper. Your main fabric and your piece of batting. This is the 4.5 by 7 inch piece of fabric. Again, tape this in place. Let's tape that side for now. Because before you tape this particular piece of fabric in place, you need to open the zipper. When you open the zipper to in line with the T or the R of tissues, and keep the zipper pull in the open position. Tape it down, place it back in your machine, and stitch the next thread count. Trim the thread, take the hook out, at this point I'm going to remove all my tape from the underside of the embroidery. place your final piece of fabric, 4.5 by 7 inches lining fabric, over your stitching lines, and tape it in place. Place the hoop back in the machine, and stitch the final thread cut. Embroidery is now complete, and we will go through the various steps on completing it. At this point you can remove all the tape Okay, you take the embroidery is finished, you take it out the machine, take all the tape off, let's make some room here, and you can take it out the hoop. Here we go. Now the next thing I want to do is cut back the excess batting on the upper side of the embroidery only. You don't have to be right against the stitches, just cut it back to reduce the bulk in the seams. I find using a round pointed scissors works easiest for this. Just like that. Okay. Then you remove the tearaway stabilizer. It should tear away quite easily. And you're left with this. You can see on the back see an area where there is, at this stage, an opening. You take the scissors and you will trim back to 1/4 of an inch, except over that area where the opening is. Where the opening is, you're probably going to trim back to about 1/2 an inch to make it easier to close. We'll cut through the zipper. And then you will cut across the corners. Just like that. Then, when you look in here, you will see there is stitching holding the bulk together, and you have a single layer here. You're just going to turn this out to the single layer. this is the point you use whatever device you have for pushing out the corners. That opening is the only, opening is the only area you're going to hand stitch. Yes. We're just going to slip stitch this closed. Bear in mind, you don't have to be too neat here, as this will be inside your tissue holder. Okay, last stitch, slip stitching it closed. Just gonna get it off, thread away the thread. Okay, next you remove any threads across the zipper area, you cut them away. And then you tear out the tearaway stabilizer in the zipper area. Nice. Then turn out through the partially open zipper area for a tissue holder. If you have any thread jumps on the surface that need cutting, cut them now. And there we go. The tissues, little pocket tissues, fit perfectly in the holder. There's a whole lot of different designs to choose from.